I guess you then don't get the same results in terms of yield efficiency as would square roots with the special systems.
I would actually say we get better.
So, hi Tyler, could you please introduce yourself and your company, Bitfarms, briefly?
Yeah, thank you. My name's Tyler Blair. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bitfarms, and we do indoor vertical farming and cafeterias, dining rooms, apartment complexes, doctors' offices, and yeah.
All right. So, how did you get into agriculture?
So I was in the cannabis industry in Detroit, Michigan, when the medical cannabis became legalized, and I did that for quite a while. And then I had a son, and I'd always worked in food before that, whether college dining or restaurants, corporate dining. And then I had a son, and I didn't really want to be in the cannabis industry anymore, so I moved over to food, and I started in a hydroponic greenhouse here in Michigan, and then started working for Square Roots, which was the shipping container farm, co-founded by Kimball Musk, started out of Brooklyn. And learned a lot there, and just realized I liked this field, and kept going with it, and started my own thing.
All right. So how long were you in Square Roots before you decided to start your own thing?
About 3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you do there?
Well, originally I was the program manager, which was it was called the Next Gen Farmer Training Program. So all our farmers were on a 1-year program where they were learning to run the systems, but they were also learning about entrepreneurialism, and sort of it was designed to be a launch pad to put them into the vertical farming industry, because at the time there weren't any classes you could take, and no universities were offering any sort of programs. So, I was managing that and managing the farmers. And then I was promoted to operations manager, and then I was promoted to general manager, and then eventually I was promoted to director of operations as we scaled across the Midwest and built new farms.
Now in Bitfarms, you are providing a system for regular companies, like non-farm people.
Yeah. So when I was at Square Roots, me and my co-founders, we did a lot of tours, and they were tours for the food distributors' customers. So like the owners of restaurants, the buyers of, corporate dining accounts, the chefs and general managers of food service directors. And they were all kind of asking the same question. We would take them on a tour of the farm, which is a collection of 10 shipping containers. And we'd open the back shipping container doors, and they'd see all these thousands of basil plants growing on the wall with the lights and everything. And they were just like in awe. And there was like this special moment that always happened. And people would always say the same two things. How do we get this at our place? And how do we get it cheaper? Because the prices were like 5 times what you would pay from like basil from California or whatever. And so we thought about that a lot. And what we kind of came up with is, if you take those shipping containers and chop them into a bunch of smaller pieces, little bits, right? You could take those bits and you can put them in their dining rooms or in their hallways or in their classrooms. And then you can use that food in their dining programs, and that offsets costs. So and that brings the cost down. And then we don't have to pour any concrete or build any buildings. So there's not really any infrastructure, and we don't have any packaging. We don't have any distribution costs. We don't really sell food. We sell the experience. And for the client, they're just redirecting their money. Instead of buying it from the distributor in a plastic package, they're just paying us for a monthly subscription to grow the same amount of food that money would buy. And then it's their food. And so, yeah, that's kind of how we started to get into things. And we started at a university here called Hope, or college called Hope College. And they gave us a shot, and we did a bunch of iterating. We ended up changing the farm design quite a few times, the plumbing and all that, to fix clogs and leaks and make cleaning easier, make harvesting easier. And eventually we got to a design that was working pretty well. And then people started calling us. And one of the first ones that called us was a local high school. And they said, we'll take 2 of them. We want one in our high school dining room, and we want one in the middle school dining room. And we were like, middle school? Do those kids even eat greens? And so we installed those 2, and they went so well that like 3 months later, they said, we'll take 5 more. We're going to prepay you for 5 years on those 5. And we want one of them at an elementary school. And so now we're talking like kindergartners, like 5-year-olds. And those tend to be the most impressed group. Like they just love the idea that those are their little baby plants. They're going to grow big, and then they're going to get to eat them. And so it made them excited to eat healthy food. And this was all like really in contrast to all the like, prepackaged ultra processed foods that we kind of have a problem with in the United States. And we have a lot of disease that's coming from those diets. And it's gotten to the point where the young people don't even know there's like another way. Like eating healthy is like some elusive, complicated, expensive thing. When in reality, it's like just being a little more connected to your food and like, being a little more involved in the farming aspect. So growing it right there in their dining rooms where they can see it, is an exciting thing for them. It's an informative thing. It's hands-on, and it promotes, the healthy eating. So we started to realize that, we got something here.
So when they pay you a subscription, do they get to grow it, or do you grow it for them?
We try to do everything for them if they want. They can be as involved as they want to be. So sometimes they have a key, they can go in, they can harvest it themselves if they need it. We do little programs like farmer workshops and things. At the high school, we worked with their advanced placement biology course to do some genetic selection to grow in there. So we do involve them, but we don't want it to be a burden on them. We want it to be a really easy, frictionless experience where they can enjoy the food growing, enjoy eating the food, and they can get as involved as they want to without feeling like obligated, like, oh, I got to go take care of this farm. That's what we do essentially. And we found, since we're farmers, what we found is we know how to take care of the plants so you get better results, so you don't ever have dead plants. We know how to deal with bug issues. We know like when something's ready to harvest. We know how long things are going to be and how much it's going to yield and all that stuff. So, and then we recruit to help us service the farms. We recruit interested people who are in that food system. So at the schools, there's a lady who works part-time in her retirement. She was really interested. So now she's come on board and she helps us work on the farms. Things like that. And a cook at another location helps us. And so
that was my other question. How do you make it work that you have a farm at somebody else's place and you still tend to it and make it grow and bloom?
Yep. Yeah, good question. And that was like what we had to kind of figure out. How do we service these things? We go there once a week, and we harvest and transplant and fill the reservoir. Every 6 months, we do like kind of a deep cleaning where we reset everything, take it all apart, and clean it up, put it back together. So it always looks really nice. And then we have a local steward program. So we try to find people that are interested in this, that want a little side job to make a little extra money. And then we bring them in, and then they're sort of our eyes and ears on the ground, and they can do some of the more basic stuff. And then like if there's maintenance issues, like we have to replace a fan or we have to replace a light, then we come in and do that. But we basically try to find a local steward in the food system that's already a part of it, that's passionate about this. And then we give them the training and the tools for them to help take care of the farm. And then we pay them for that.
How long does it take to train such a person?
I think it depends on the person a little bit. But it really doesn't take long. A couple weeks usually. It's not a complex system, and we do have remote monitoring capabilities. So at any time we have a camera feed. We have, temperature, humidity, DPD, we can see, everything going on in there at any time. So that helps a lot, but, you still have to have that physical person there. So yeah, I think, with all that together, we can get them up to speed pretty quickly, and they're excited about it. And, we've really designed the system for service. So where I would say, like in my experience at Square Roots, they designed their system, for technology. So to be, to really, they had a whole, software platform that they developed to be able to like control everything and whatever. We didn't really go that route. We more designed for service ease so that we can send people in there and it's not going to take long and it works well. And we were able to just use off the shelf IoT technology to cover all our temperature and monitoring and cameras and all that. So, and then those all come with their own platforms that are all open source. So we can take that stuff and modify it how we need it without having to employ a whole software team and engineering team and all that.
But I guess you then don't get the same results in terms of yield efficiency as would Square Roots with the special systems.
I would actually say we get better because of the design of our system. Because of I think there's a lot of factors, or at least comparable, very, very similar in a lot of ways. But our system is set up a little more for lettuces and flowers and things like that, where Square Roots was very, very specific to basil and microgreens. So with basil, I would say in microgreens too, like we're about equal, but we can get more pounds per square foot than Square Roots because we're growing other things, because we're not growing for retail sale or distributor sales, wholesale. We're growing specifically for what the client wants, so it's what's valuable to them. And a lot of times it's just fresh salad for their salad bar, and things like that. So, I think our lighting is a little bit more intense too. Like we learned that like the intensity of your lights is, it's a linear relationship, to where the more light you have, the more output you're going to get. And so we kind of have a lot of light. And then also we very rarely, we don't have any failures, with any of our environmental controls, because we're sort of borrowing it from the building that we're in instead of having to manage it and maintain it ourselves. So we don't have like air conditioning units and, things like that. And so we don't have to, spend all the time maintaining that. And then when that goes down, we don't lose crops generally, because the locations have their own maintenance team, and they have backup parts and, contractors that can come right out, because they have to take care of it for their thousands of customers that are going to be in that building. So we really, I think, have less, and less waste as well, because we just harvest, everything right into the bins for the client. And, we don't have to like individually package it, which saves a lot of touch points, which reduces the waste.
What areas do you currently work in?
All
Like
West Michigan.
geographical. Yeah.
Yep, all West Michigan. So originally we thought that we wanted to scale this everywhere. And you've seen companies kind of like Farm Shelf and Babylon Micro Farms, and we've actually talked to the CEOs of those companies. And what we kind of learned was that this model with the service, with the relationships, deep relationships with our clients, it works a lot better when you keep it limited to a region, to a geographically regional area. And so we kind of doubled down on West Michigan because we want to impact real change on that food system. And we felt like trying to scale everywhere just was taking the soul out of our company a little bit. And part of the special sauce was us. So we didn't want to just sell people farms and then expect them to take care of it. We wanted to be there with them and be a partner in growing. We wanted to be their farmer, not just sell them a farm. And so trying to scale the hardware side and the service side is a expensive and painful proposition. And so what we did is really just double down on West Michigan and these couple counties that we're in. And so because we get a lot of word of mouth, we don't really have to do a lot of sales or marketing. People come to us looking for farms, and we don't have to have the headaches of trying to operate so spread out.
What do you think lies in the future for your company? Like, do you plan to develop different systems or expand your area that you service?
Yeah, so we're looking to go outdoors. That's our next step. So we're working with a smaller greenhouse. One of our clients will be launching it soon, and our first outdoor farm, and that's going to be farmed with a farm bot. I don't know if you know about like a CNC thing that sits on top of a raised bed. So automated farming outdoor in a greenhouse. And that'll allow us to do more long season crops. We'll probably be in soil. So we're going to, also move out of just hydroponics, because really the idea is to help people grow, not necessarily sell them a product. So we want to, and then working with, since we're in all the schools and stuff, working with the kids to there's a lot of STEM, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math, programs that can help them, learn in a very hands-on way at the schools. And so this allows us to do that, with them in multiple different ways. So then they can learn about hydroponics and soil and different types and how some things work better and some than the other. What the benefits are, the pros and cons of each one. And then with the farm bot, there's a lot of stuff with like programming, setting it up, understanding the materials, how it works, and all the little motors and everything. And so to really broaden it out in what we're growing and providing for our clients. And we have this idea to, grow some peppers and do like a locally made hot sauce with peppers that the kids grew that they can sell retail and bring some money back to their school and things like that. So going outside where we can do longer season crops, where with like tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers and those kind of things, as well as more root crops, which we are difficult to do in the vertical hydroponics. Although I do see people doing it, but I think you got to dedicate your whole system to it. Where for us, it's
I saw a couple of years ago, I saw a hydroponic or maybe aeroponic potato farm.
Yeah. It's all dangling and it's got all the...
Yeah, I mean, it works, but it's sort of like these one-off projects. You don't really see nobody practice it commercially or something.
Yeah. And I'm really interested in what Oshi's doing with the strawberries.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're finding a lot of success. And I just read an article, their next market is Michigan. So they're coming. And but that's all they grow is like a couple varieties of strawberries. So I
Yes,
think we
and
want to be
but they also added tomatoes and I believe watermelon.
okay. Yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah,
those yet, so those must be
I
fairly new.
they definitely well might be 1 or 2 years already with the
Oh
tomatoes.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean
actually
that's
got to taste the Oishi no the Oishi strawberry when I was in New York, and it was I my mind was blown. It was so delicious.
yeah, and they're figuring out how to get that price down.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
Also,
making
yeah,
good progress. They're penetrating the market and they're keeping their
yeah,
quality
definitely.
and prices down. So we're
Yeah.
watching them,
Uh-huh.
I think we'd like to have more diversity than just leafy greens,
Uh-huh.
flowers and stuff. And so
Uh-huh.
to do that, you can build, indoor small micro farms that do that, but the yield
Uh-huh.
doesn't really justify the cost,
Yeah.
at least right now that we find. So we think
Also, you would
moving.
need to have the bees, I guess, or hand pollinate it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We thought maybe we'd give little elementary kids paintbrushes and they could
Uh,
could go pollinate it, but the whole system has to be strawberries, and then most of the
yeah,
biomass is just getting composted because you're only
yeah,
taking that one little fruit. So
yeah.
from an economic standpoint, it's much more difficult to do those
Uh-huh.
kind of crops indoors. Where with a greenhouse, with some automation, with the right environmental controls, you can get pretty close for a lot easier and cheaper.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what Oshi
Yeah.
spends on one of their facilities, but I guarantee it's not cheap.
You mean like operating costs or the development costs?
Probably both.
Yeah. Also,
So,
that's funny because I've tried contacting Oishi like multiple times already, and even their CEO, uh, now his name eludes me, but uh, they never even replied. And I would like to do a podcast with them, but maybe in the future.
yeah, I'll cross my fingers for you. I would like to
Thank you.
watch that podcast. But
Yeah.
also, I think there's a lot of, I found this out. West Michigan had
Uh-huh.
when craft brew, I don't know if that's something that's relevant in Europe, but um, for a long time, all the beer was
Uh-huh.
like national brands like Budweiser,
Yeah.
which actually I
Yeah.
think originally came from Czech Republic, right? The real
Yeah.
one.
That's also
Um,
true.
but Miller and Budweiser and all these things. And then there were all of a sudden all these local brewers started making their own craft beers, and they got really creative and all these different hop varieties and different types of beer, and like the quality went way up, and then everybody was collaborating, and it was just this really awesome environment. And I thought vertical farming was going to be the same thing, that everybody would be collaborating. But I was really surprised that everybody's keeping their secrets and hiding their dirty laundry and and that's just not what we want to be. To fix the food system, to make this work, there's got to be a lot of collaboration. You got to share secrets. And I think all boats rise when we work together in this industry, because we're not working against each other. We're working against, giant factory farms, you know what I mean? And that's what we're trying to like reconnect people with their food and relocalize the food system. And the only way that's going to happen is if everybody's working together on it. And I think that's ultimately been the result of a lot of these collapses of these big companies, is they were all making the same mistakes, but nobody was willing to talk about it with each other. So,
Yes.
no.
That's exactly the mindset of the owner of the farm in Norway I went to. I did a podcast with him in, I guess, November, or yeah, maybe November last year. And he told me like if I wanna go there and learn how to do that, how he does it over there, then I can. So I called him next day. Can I go there for a month? Like in 2 months from now? He was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And when he he told me he advises a lot of people in this industry that they call him, and he one guy, he even helped him set, like, the guy came in, learned from the owner's name is Marius. So the guy came in, learned from Marius. Marius even helped him set up his own farm, and and even helped him get some clients. But yeah, he made a joke like the only thing he won't do is like harvest it for him or something. Yeah, but that's exactly, I agree with it too. Like, there needs to be some sort of a collaboration, because in the end, this is a tiny industry still, and it doesn't make sense to, like, when I invent a wheel, it doesn't make sense for you to be inventing a wheel of yours when the wheel was already invented.
Yep. I think the customers get easily confused between what does it mean to be indoor grown versus vertically grown versus hydroponic versus organic, and, that educating the consumer is an important part. And that's something that to build the whole industry, kind of has to happen a little more effectively. And now we're having a lot of consolidation in the U.S. So now the big companies are buying up all these pieces of these failed, for pennies on the dollar, all these failed vertical farms. We're just kind of getting back to the same thing where it's like, controlled by very few companies, where food, I think, needs to be, democratized, I guess, or decentralized. The more it's decentralized, the more connected you are with food, the more resilient the food system, and the more local food you're going to get, which is going to support your economies. And, the food systems are the foundation for the economic development above it. So if you have a really good food system in your region, you can magnify your economic development. So everybody's going to live better and get richer and have more opportunities if you have better food systems. And a better food system is like local, and everybody's got skin in the game and everybody is invested in it. It's just, and then the food tastes better and you got more energy and you have less ease, and like, it's just all keeps adding on. So we're just trying to, do what we can to do our part. And what we see as a big part of it is creating the conversation. So, like, our farms become kind of the water cooler, or the point where like people connect over food in front of it and say, oh, I used to grow basil with my grandma or whatever. And then it starts talking, what happened to food? And I remember it used to be like this. And I know this person who's working on this in the food system, and, and people connect over it, and they connect over the things that they're passionate about. And, health and wellness, is, especially since COVID, is like so important to everybody. And so this gives them a reason to talk about that kind of stuff.
All right. Would you like to add something that we didn't discuss?
I just had another meeting before this with a new client. So I was like, I'm trying to remember what we talked about and what we talked about in that other meeting. The big thing, that we're kind of working on is, we're going to go outdoors. We're working with different segments, with corporate dining, with healthcare, with school systems, education. But I think the next thing for us is, how do we help people understand that food doesn't have to be healthy food doesn't have to be complicated. And that once you go on a food adventure, you look back and you're like, I can't believe what I used to eat, With all these fruits and vegetables and different types of foods out there, and tastes and textures. And like, I feel like the majority of people in America eat maybe a dozen different things, and then they just repeat.
Uh-huh.
And so like one of the challenges that I challenge people to is eat 20 different fruits and vegetables in a week. And a lot of people can't even name 20 different fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And try to eat 20 different ones in a week and see how you feel, see what your food adventure is like, and just really start that conversation about what matters, you know, and how do we improve from where we are? Because
Uh-huh.
in the United States, you know, we need to change a lot of things to improve people's health and you know, improve our food systems.
Well, me myself, I try to adhere to the one, I guess it's called one ingredient diet or something like that. Well, I mean, it's not a diet, but I just eat, for example, now I'm baking a whole chicken and I will eat that with potatoes, like mashed potatoes. Yeah. And stuff like that, like meat with rice, for example, like no processed, nothing.
Yeah, yeah. And like once you get used to that, you start feeling all the benefits of that. And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
where do I find the best quality chicken? Okay, what farmers do I
Oh yeah,
know
now
can
now
buy
now
chicken
I'm in
from
that
there?
state.
You know, and that's what I did with steak, you know, when I stopped eating processed foods. I was like,
Uh-huh.
instead of putting my money into buying a pizza, I'm going to buy,
Uh-huh.
you know, a grass-fed steak with nice marbling in it, and I'm going to learn
Yeah.
how to pan sear it and baste it. And now,
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's like I look forward to it all day. Can't wait to eat dinner, even though, you know,
Yeah.
it's not, I got to do a little bit of work and I got to source it
Yeah.
and stuff. But it's like that food adventure. We all need to go
Uh-huh.
back on food adventures and food communities,
Uh-huh.
instead of this, you know, just buy this bag of something and stick it in the cupboard and snack on it all day and then
Yeah.
eat, you know, fast food for dinner, you know, and I
Yeah.
think we got to change that
Yeah.
here. And so that's what we're trying to do. You know, we're trying to do what we
Uh-huh.
can to be a part of that change, be a new way to source food so that,
Uh-huh.
you know, you just buying it, whatever the distributor is offering isn't the only way. You know, you can grow it
Uh-huh.
yourself and we'll help you do it.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm glad you came on the show. Thank you very much for finding the time and enjoy your steak tonight.
Yeah. Thank you. I look forward to watching it and, great meeting you. And if you ever want to come to Michigan, you're more than welcome to work with us. So,
Well,
and
thank
keep
you
doing
very
what
much.
you're doing, supporting the indoor farms and the vertical farming and, you know, getting the word out and talking to people and